Hi, everybody. Welcome to the MenoLounge. I'm Julie Gordon-White, CEO of MenoWell, Menopause Energy and Protein Bars. And of course, I'm happy to be here with you on Tuesday, but I'm especially happy to be here with our special guest, Gabriella Espinosa, queen of all things pleasure. I'm going to bring her up, and that means we're going to have a little weird pause here for a second as she joins. Have a little sip of my warm coffee. Is anyone else freezing like me? Oh, well, Gabriella hops on. Hi there. Here she comes. Hi, Gabriella.
Hi, Julie.
I can't believe I was just in your
You're
presence
still
24 hours
here.
ago.
You're still here. I still feel you. I still feel your presence. I'm in the room next door where you spent the last 3 or 4 days here in Austin, Texas. So your energy's still here. So beautiful.
I hope it's
Miss you
good
so much. I
energy.
miss you.
I miss you too. It was such a beautiful time. We were together. Gabriella so graciously hosted, I don't know, 5 of us, something like that.
It was so fun. Midlife slumber party for sure.
Every morning in the kitchen with Gabriella's delish overnight oats. Katie Fogarty of A Certain Age podcast and I shared a room, and we were just talking about it this morning, Gabriella, because I was up at 4:20 a.m. with the time change. So I'm up, and Katie was up, and you're like, "We miss our overnight oats."
Oh,
Gabriella's made them so
yeah.
beautifully. Just it's such a wonderful way to segue into our conversation about nourishment. So you
Mm.
nourished us so beautifully while we were all there going to South by Southwest together. And if you haven't had a chance, take a look. I'm sure there's some content or going to be on the Flow Space website. There were 3 days of incredible conversations. So I hope you get a chance to look at that. But Gabriella nourished us. We spoke at Rebecca Brown of Empower's Hormone House. And you did a beautiful meditation. So I wish we could do it right now, but I don't know if everyone can hang tight for that. But we're going to just lean right into pleasure and nourishment of our bodies, because you have been studying and teaching this work for many years. Pleasure, yoga, being in touch with your body and soul, mind, body, and soul. So let's just get in there. Otherwise, we're just going to continue to have a love fest right here, and everyone's going to be like, what are they talking about?
So let's talk about pleasure, and not just any pleasure, the kind, like as you say, that really nourishes us, that lights us up from the inside out. Because here's something I want everyone to take to heart today. Pleasure isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. So when we think about nourishment, and you talk about this a lot here on the MenoLounge, we talk about food, we talk about movement, we talk about sleep. All those are forms of nourishment. But what about pleasure as a key pillar of nourishment? I love thinking of pleasure as our daily dose of vitamin P, just like vitamin D, vitamin C. It's an essential nutrient for our vitality, for our confidence, for our resilience, and it impacts everything when you think about it, right?
Yeah.
Our stress levels, our nervous system, our hormones, how we enjoy our food, how we enjoy movement, how we enjoy our relationships. Yet we've been so conditioned to deprioritize it, and we put everyone else's needs first, thinking that pleasure is selfish or self-indulgent or unimportant. But your pleasure matters. That's what I tell everyone. It's fundamental to your well-being and your ability to really feel fully alive in your body and soul. So I want everyone to take that to heart today. If you take anything away, and really think about, what if pleasure wasn't something extra? It's not the
Yeah,
cherry
we
on
feel
top.
that it's not a part of just our daily morning routine or any of those things. It's
Yeah.
out there, and it's something that we have to add on versus incorporate. But how do we do that, Gabriella?
Yeah,
How do
it's
we do that?
fundamental. Yeah, I want everyone to see it fundamental to your health and your vitality. So, um, like I said, when we think about nourishment, we think about food, movement, perhaps a massage, but true nourishment is holistic and includes how we feed ourselves emotionally, physically, energetically, and sensually, right? And physical nourishment, we know you talk about it here all the time, right? We eat our MenoWell energy bars. We nourished ourselves while you were here with MenoWell energy bars, and we think about movement and rest, and we think about when we think about emotional nourishment, how we're holding space for our feelings, honoring our boundaries, surrounding ourselves with relationships that uplift and support us. That's so important. That's so much part of what the pleasure that feeds us, right?
Yeah.
And you sense that too when we were all together at our midlife slumber party. I mean, literally, my cup is overflowing after all of you left, because I surrounded myself with people who really truly see me, support me, and celebrate me every step of the way. And I feel that. I really felt that, Julie. And so thank you so much. And then there's energetic nourishment, right? The things that light us up. You can think of them as hobbies. Maybe it's something creative, it's music, it's nature, it's deep connection to yourself and to others. It's sensuality, paying attention to your senses, taste, touch, smell, sight. And so when we nourish ourselves on all these levels, physical, emotional, energetic, we create a foundation for pleasure to thrive. And so I just like to put it in those three pillars so that you can think about how are you nourishing yourself emotionally, energetically. And then there's also spiritually, right?
Yes.
A lot of people really have a deep spiritual practice, whether it's yoga or someone or something greater than yourself or nature or going to church. Those things nourish us as well. And so really trying to see all of those components as building a foundation for pleasure.
We'll talk in a little bit about how we actually do that on a practical basis. But first, how do you know if you're lacking pleasure? You know, maybe you think you are joyful. That's kind of a higher level, right? Joy. But how do we know when we are deficient in pleasure in our lives?
Yeah, that's such a great question because, you know, a lot of the women I work with tell me that they feel completely disconnected from their bodies, from their pleasure. You know, you hear this, this, I don't want to call it a complaint, this symptom, this
Right.
way of feeling of like, I don't feel like myself, right? People, you know, that term that people often use. They feel disconnected from
Like a
their joy.
dissatisfaction. Yeah.
Yeah, they feel disconnected from their joy, their sense of self. They just don't feel at home in their own skin. It's just a feeling, right? You feel it when you feel disconnected from your body and their pleasure, right? Especially in midlife, the changes of perimenopause and menopause, juggling career, kids, elderly parents. It's a lot, right? It's a lot that pulls us constantly away from ourselves. And, you know, I hear things like, I just can't go on like this anymore. Or when they think about pleasure, right, they think, okay, it has to do with sexual pleasure. So they say, I can't go there right now.
Right.
You have
You
vaginal
don't have the
dryness,
energy,
you're
desire, any of that.
exhausted.
Right.
You think of it as something else to do, to add to your to-do list. But what if we redefine pleasure as something more than just sexual pleasure? What if we saw it as connection? And so see it as connection to yourself, being in tune with your body, feeling at home in your own skin, your emotions, your needs, right? Connection to life, you know, finding joy in everyday moments, movement, music, nature, beauty. And then of course there's connection to others. We all need connection to other human beings through friendships, through our relationships, you know, deepening intimacy and self-expression, and then connection to what lights you up. It can be a hobby, it can be a new business, It can be a podcast. So when we're nourished, we have more to give. I really
I love
truly
that.
believe that.
That
We
expands us, but
Mhm.
doesn't drain us at the same time, right?
Yeah, yeah. And we become just more open, more receptive, more connected, not only to others, but to ourselves. And that transforms everything, I feel.
I love that. And you know, I agree. I agree with everything that you say. So um, we need a mind shift though in order to believe that. That's the only hard part, right? So I
Mm.
think I agree that we put pleasure in this sexual intimacy bucket, and yes, it lives there. But it is not the only way. So what mind shifts do we need to have in order to move into a place where we can actually seek pleasure, create pleasure, look for pleasure, because it's really all around us, already there and
Exactly,
available.
exactly.
But
Yeah,
if we don't
yeah,
have the right mindset, we won't see it. So how
yeah,
do we shift our thinking, our mindset, so we can receive what's right in front of us?
yeah. You're so right, Julie. I just want to add to what you're saying. We don't have to wait for those big peak
Yes.
experiences to feel pleasure, right? Because it's woven into the fabric of our everyday lives. We just have to notice it and
Mm,
be present to it.
mm,
So oftentimes, you know, women feel that pleasure is a reward, right?
mhm.
It's a reward. It's
I
something that
get
they
to
get
have
after.
a massage after this. Yeah.
But again, the World Health Organization, you know, a couple of years ago established pleasure as a fundamental need, as a fundamental basic human right. And
Mm,
so we don't have to earn it. We don't have to earn pleasure. We don't have to earn rest or joy. We deserve them simply because we exist, because we're human. And as I mentioned earlier, pleasure requires presence. If we're constantly stuck in that fight, flight, or freeze mode, pleasure doesn't feel safe or accessible. That's why I love to incorporate breath work, mindfulness practices, self-touch practices that can help retrain your nervous system to receive pleasure. And as I said, it's not just about sex, it's about what makes us feel alive
mm,
and at home in our bodies. And when we expand, I feel when we expand our definition of pleasure, we realize more is available to us in ways that we never thought it would be
mm.
available.
I love
So
that.
again, it's just shifting our definition of pleasure,
Mhm.
expanding our definition of pleasure, and being more present to it so that we can expand our capacity to feel and receive more of it. And if it is sexual pleasure, then yes,
Yes.
wonderful, right?
Right.
But we have to prepare ourselves for that, to go there, right? And I know a lot of women feel like I just can't go there. I'm not ready for it. I'm just not in the mood. It's just, and totally get it when everything is happening. So that's why I try to get women to think about shifting their perception of pleasure and really trying to incorporate simple everyday pleasure practices so they can start expanding their capacity to experience deeper, more fulfilling pleasure, even sexual pleasure, when they're ready to go there. So
Mm,
they're ready when it's there.
yeah.
Um,
It's like we almost have to retrain ourselves because we've lost who we are in raising families, maybe growing careers, growing businesses, and we're so externally focused all the time, so we're not connected to our bodies, which is what I love about menopause, because it doesn't let you stay disconnected for too long because it's
mhm.
jumping up and down. You know, I need this, I need that, I need you to come back to me, which is why I love this conversation. And using, you said the word noticing, which I think is so powerful. Some friends of mine wrote a book called Today I Noticed, and it's a lovely book. I suggest everyone read it because it helps that build that muscle that you're talking about of noticing things that bring you pleasure. And when we build that muscle, then we open that capacity for other, you know, intimacy that doesn't feel like a chore or something like that.
Exactly,
When you're
exactly.
saying that, I'm thinking about, I was holding this cup of coffee, Gabriella, like having a warm cup of really delicious coffee is such pleasure, you know, so pleasureful for me. I look
Mm,
forward to it. but we don't really label it like we say, I can't wait to have my coffee, but not thinking about the pleasure that it brings. So
Yeah.
noticing,
Yes.
noticing,
Being
noticing,
present for it. Yeah, I
being
think the biggest block um, women face when it comes to experiencing pleasure and nourishment is that we're not present for it. You know, even if it's a cup of coffee, a beautiful salad that we've taken the time to make for ourselves. We spend so much time in our heads, rushing, planning, analyzing, worrying, and then we get stuck in that autopilot mode, moving through life without really actually feeling it,
yeah,
you know? Um,
yeah. Mm. So, for those that are here, I'd love for you to drop in the comments what simple pleasures can you notice in your life? Are you present to maybe today, even? And don't say, I don't know, because I'm sure there was something. It could be a wave to your kids goodbye, like that just brings joy to your heart in the morning. If you drop them off at school, even if they're teenagers and they just, you're still, you're still like so happy. I love that kid, even if they're
mm,
snarky, or your partner, or just sitting quietly in your office, whatever that might be. Love for you to share that with us.
yeah,
So
yeah,
Gabriella, in case they're kind of stuck and can't figure out how am I going to bring pleasure into my life, what are some of the things you like to share to help women? Oh, look at health coach Angela says watching the sunset.
yeah, that's so
Yes.
beautiful. Yeah, it really lives in the small moments. Watching a sunset, feeling
Mm-hmm.
the warmth of the sun on your skin,
Mm-hmm.
taking time to taste and really savor your favorite meal. I love my morning practice of stretching and moving my body after waking up, feeling my breath, doing a little breath practice. You know, the time that the laughter you share with friends and the time that you share with friends
Yeah.
really fills me up. And like I said, we don't have to wait for those big peak experiences to feel pleasure,
Mm-hmm.
because it's there. We just, again, like you said, we have to notice it. And so, simple ways to do it. Again, noticing those small, simple, everyday pleasures, mindful breathing. I just think taking a moment at the beginning of your day to take deep, intentional breaths, either in the morning or taking a break in the middle of a busy day, really allows you to come back into your body and notice how good does it feel to breathe. Oh
Mm.
my goodness, it's just,
Right. Just that simply that we have breath, period. Huge.
yes. So noticing what it feels like to breathe.
Mm.
And so if you're listening right now, just take a moment just to notice your breath. Take a big deep inhale. If you want to exhale, you can even let out a nice big sigh. And just feel your shoulders soften and just notice that, right?
Mm. Mm.
You can do that when you're alone, before you come into conversation with someone, a loved one, a friend, so that you can make the experience more enjoyable, more relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
I love doing a body scan visualization or meditation. Remember, we guided
Yeah.
everyone through that
Yes,
at
that
the
was so
Fort
beautiful.
Menopause party.
But Gabriella, you did that guided meditation right before we were all speaking on the panel, and I was so relaxed. I was like, I need to bring my, I just could like take like a little nappy. I'm like, I need to wake up and get some juice here so I can
Well,
say
yeah,
something.
we were debating whether to do that or a shaking practice. So if you feel like you're way too relaxed and you're too blissed out, a good shaking practice is good, right? So just getting up and just shaking, 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 you know, your whole body. So I love to do a shaking practice when I'm feeling a little bit low in mood. I'm just feeling a little bit overwhelmed or just stressed out, and I just kind of shake it out.
Take it
Put
out.
on some music and just shake it out. It's not like dancing. It's not dancing. It's just really, really letting go of whatever your body's holding on to. Stress, overwhelm, anger, uh, really
Mm.
shaking it out. And then, yeah, the body scan meditation is nice for relaxing.
Mm-hmm.
Just taking a moment to scan your body. I like to do it like we did it with energy. So rubbing your hands together and generating warmth, generating heat, taking pleasure into your own hands, and really allowing that warmth, that energy you've created to um, just hover, just sweep it over your body, sweep it over your
Mm.
body, and notice What does it feel like when I'm generating that warmth, that
Energy.
energy, that heat across my face, across my throat, my heart, my breasts, my belly, my pelvis, right? We have the power in our own hands to generate pleasure. And then, of course, there's mindful eating. We talked about mindful eating, really taking time to savor your food. Grounding techniques, if you're feeling like, oh, you're so overwhelmed and your mind is spinning, getting out into nature with your bare feet and just really feeling your bare feet touching the earth, using your hands again. Sometimes if you don't want to do an energetic touch, I recommend people do like a grounding touch, like really like
Just even
with
for ourselves.
the
Yeah.
palms of your hands, contour all the parts of your body, right? And just allow your hands to ground you, and noticing what it feels like to feel supported by the chair beneath your bum, or the ground beneath your feet. Those types of practices are good. And yeah, the pleasure scan, just noticing, so often when we pause in our day, we tune in, and you're like, oh, I'm so tired, I'm so overwhelmed. And it's okay, yeah, this uncomfortable or feelings are normal, right? We hold that,
That's
but
what
we're
Angela was talking about here in the comments, feeling
yeah,
anxious with all the stuff going on
yeah,
in the world.
yeah,
Even her clients are on edge, she said.
those are real legitimate feelings, right? Those are real legitimate emotions that we hold, but also knowing that our bodies are also capable of experiencing and holding pleasure. So acknowledging, okay, yes, I feel some tightness or tension in my shoulders, but where in my body do I feel goodness? Something that feels good. And if you can't locate it, just go to where you don't feel pain or discomfort. Where is it that you don't feel that pain or discomfort? So maybe it's a tingling in your fingers, or just a softness in your belly, or just go to where you don't feel any discomfort, because I hope that you're not feeling pain and discomfort all over your body. Our bodies have the capacity to feel both. And so when you start to tune into even those little teeny tiny areas that feel okay, feel good, you can, using breath work, using some visualization, you can start to spread that goodness to other parts of your body. A lot of pain scientists use that technique, right? When they're working with people with chronic pain, they have them focus on just like, the tingling in your baby toe,
Finding
or,
that one little thing that you can focus on.
one little thing, and being able to just bring your attention to that. And even if it's just for 5 minutes a day of intentional pleasure, intentionally focusing on goodness, on pleasure, can completely shift how you feel.
I love that, because we know, as a matter of fact, we just finished a new blog, did some research, and there's a study that Harvard did about meditation, and it's around releasing weight that you don't want. But this is same thing on the pleasure side, because that 5 minutes of quiet time or visualization, meditation, reconnecting to that part of our body, it calms our nervous system down. So we get so many beautiful benefits from that. So leaning into what you're saying about pleasure, and I'm pretty sure my husband just jumped on this live because he saw that it was about pleasure, right, honey? He's like,
Come
what?
on in.
Dave's like, what are Julie and Gabriella talking about? You are welcome to be here,
Yes.
David.
Yes.
But just that bit of calm and quietness meditation can help us release so much. So then we are in a place to receive even more pleasure when we're not blocking or holding on to that negative energy. Really good.
For sure. Definitely.
Gabriella, you talked about, let's go circle back to the food. We talked a lot about food this weekend. I was nourishing my body and feeling a lot of pleasure around the 6 tacos that I had this weekend. Oh my gosh. Austin has the best tacos on the planet.
It was
saying.
So good. I'm so glad we did that because last night I went after all of you left, and I still had that craving for those tacos. So
You did.
last night I had some fish tacos with Rebecca, who's still here. We
Yeah.
went and had some fish tacos. I just loved all the flavors,
Right.
and I think sometimes when you know, we're watching what we're eating, and eat the protein and eat the this and eat your veggies, and
Go with
I
your
think
fiber. Yeah.
eat your fiber. We sometimes think that it has to be kind of very bland, or very simple, and it's good for it to be that way. But we can indulge, we can tap
Nourish.
into all
Yeah.
the incredible amount of flavors that tacos offer, that Indian food offers. Like, really make your meals pleasurable. I think
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I meet a lot of women who feel like they're just punishing themselves with the way they're eating, and they get bored or tired after a while with just eating the salads and the protein, which are all good. But we don't have to completely be so
Right.
strict with our foods in that way. We can really make our food so enjoyable. And yeah, those tacos were so good. I mean, I hadn't eaten them in so long.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I've been
Mm-hmm.
depriving myself of some good tacos. I'm so glad we ate them.
So good. Is Patina Life, is that you,
Dina,
Tina? Is that Dina?
yeah, the tacos were so good. Oh my gosh, they were
So
so good.
good, Dina. I know. And the Mexican corn, talking about nourishing and pleasure, all so fresh, but these incredible flavors. And if we don't, we have to stop to put it in the pleasure bucket, right? Not just like, oh my God, this is so good, which it was. And we did eat them like that. Oh, look at KJ said, I just enjoyed a big spoonful of peanut butter.
Mm.
Now that is pleasure right there too. I'm a peanut butter girl also, but really calling out that these tastes in our mouths, this sensory is pleasure, and not just that we're wolfing it down, because we get so much more out of it. And then actually we need less of it when we're noticing the pleasure. And then we don't have that feeling like I need to eat 5 more. Well, not the same day anyway. I probably need to eat 5 more tacos, but not the right, not at the same time. So we can eat mindfully with pleasure and have enough, really be satisfied when we are
Mm,
paying attention and noticing.
mm.
Um,
Definitely, for sure.
that's nourishing our bodies, right?
Hmm.
Mind, body, spirit are really,
Yeah,
really
yeah,
good tacos.
it's again, it's going back to that presence and that noticing, and that being in the moment of whatever you're enjoying, like really taking time to enjoy what
Yeah.
you're doing, that cup of coffee, that meal, that conversation with a friend, that walk out in nature.
Mm,
they're not things that you should be doing. I don't want pleasure as something that you should
right.
do, something that you tick off the to-do list. It's really something that you want to be present to and savor in the moment.
Mm, I love that. I'm going to savor our time that we had last weekend because it was a really special weekend. Really, really fun.
Yeah,
We have to
yeah,
do that
so
again.
beautiful. Hmm.
Gabriella, I know we shared a lot of different things. Any other tips or advice that we didn't touch on that you think we should share with women here who are watching live or going to watch the recording about how to bring more pleasure to their lives?
Yeah, I would just say start, we say this with everything, with any kind of habit that you're trying to form, right? Just start small. Pick one small act of nourishment each
Mm,
day.
mm,
And again, maybe it's taking a deep breath, maybe it's stretching, drinking water with full
yeah.
awareness, right? I mean, so many of us are hydrating ourselves, and we're just like chug, 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 juggling. Like, really, what does it feel to really hydrate yourself? The feeling of a warm, cozy blanket or the sun against your skin. It doesn't have to be extravagant.
Mm,
It doesn't have to be reserved for a special moment, right?
mhm.
It's about coming back to yourself, to presence, moment by moment, and knowing that it's always available for you.
Yeah.
It's always there. And the more you tune in, the more you train your nervous system to seek it and expand it,
Mm.
not just in this one moment, but in your everyday life.
I love that, which just will make our midlife journey through all the menopausal things so much more, dare I say, enjoyable.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, it can be. It is possible for it to be enjoyable.
Right.
Again,
Right.
because our minds are trained, and I think sometimes spending too much time on Instagram, and I love all the education that's here, but we can spend so much time scrolling the symptoms and how to cure the symptoms and what's
Right.
this, and we definitely want that. But then we get so fixated on, I'm feeling the symptom, I got to stop it, I need to do something about it. But what if you just tune into what feels good in this
Mm,
moment? What feels good? What feels pleasurable? And that makes it a little bit more bearable. It makes it more approachable. The idea that you're also trying to find some relief or a solution for a symptom, because I know the symptoms are real,
mhm, mhm.
and they can be very troublesome. But our bodies, if we just train ourselves to only go there to fixing and complaining about the symptoms and just being in the discomfort of the
Right.
symptom, we forget that there is this whole other kind of wellspring
Mm,
of pleasure that exists within us.
I
It's
love
there.
it. It's
Hmm.
there. We just have to remember to tap into it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So beautiful. Gabriella, I know people are going to want to, if they don't already, are not on your list. And I know you have some other things on your website. Where should they go to find all the
Yeah,
Gabriella
right
goodness?
now I have a lot of, I have some free offerings on pleasureinthepause.com. I have a couple of freebies that you can sign up for, including a guided visualization and some journaling prompts that you can work with and ask yourself daily. How can I invite more pleasure into my life today?
Mm,
How can I make this moment more pleasurable?
mm,
I love that question
mm.
because, again, we're always racing, and in the moment we're feeling so overwhelmed when we're busy, busy, busy. But if you pause just to ask yourself that question, how can I make this moment even more pleasurable? So there's lots of journaling prompts that I give away for free. There's a mindfulness of breathing practice there. So pleasureinthepause.com. Go there and you'll find some free practices. You'll find all my podcast
Yeah.
episodes,
And
my
aren't you
blog.
coming up on your 50th podcast, Gabriella?
Yes, I recorded it yesterday. And you
Wow.
know what? It was so hard. It was difficult.
Wow. What,
I,
the 50 or choosing, the ones to focus on?
choosing and doing and sitting and recording, especially like the day after this big expansive weekend. And I just kept reminding me, how can I make this moment more pleasurable? How can I make it more pleasurable? And it took me a good couple of hours to do it because I had to keep pausing and making sure that I made it more pleasurable instead of like, oh, I gotta get this done.
Yes.
You know what my podcast editor told me? You're gonna laugh because I told asked my podcast editor, I go, how can I make this easy on myself? And what's the best way to do this? How do I do a roundup of 5 episodes? He's like, Gabriella, just take it from your own memory. Just, you know it all. You just stick it from your own memory. I'm like, you obviously don't know midlife women very well.
If I remembered, I wouldn't be asking you this question.
I'm like,
They're all
I don't remember
so good.
anything.
50 of them. That creates a lot of noise. Right, right,
Uh,
right. That's
so
funny.
I just paused, took brought myself to get back together again, and like, okay, I'll just go through one by one and pick the highlights. And so it was fun. I did make it into a fun, pleasurable exercise, and I can't wait to publish that tomorrow.
Oh, I can't wait to grab that. I mean, you've had so many wonderful guests on, and just your work is so special. It's if you want a non-medical, non-hormonal approach to solving your menopausal midlife woes, make sure you just get into Gabriella's orbit, listen to her work, listen to her voice often is all I
Oh,
need just to like
oh,
calm
thank you.
down. It's really, really magical, and you've had some wonderful guests on your podcast. So I just am so grateful that we met on Instagram.
Yes.
Thank you, Instagram.
And then we
All
met
of
in
us, we were talking about
person.
that. Right,
And
all
then
of
we
us
met in person.
midlife posse women, we all met on Instagram. It's kind of nutty. But it's so beautiful to be together and share our gifts. And you can see we have Bettina Life here, Dina Aronson, who has a new book coming out. She's going to be on the MenoLounge soon. So it's really neat that we can all come together in an unsuspecting format, Instagram, and share all the things that we have learned in our, across our lifespan, and share with each other, share with women here. And this is why we all do what we do, so we can build this community and share our gifts, and we can receive yours too.
Yeah,
So
and really, I encourage everyone, if you want to do that here on Instagram. I mean, that's sort of how I started. I mean, it felt scary, it felt very
right.
vulnerable, but again, how can I make this pleasurable?
Yes.
If you're going to come show up on Instagram, how can you make that moment pleasurable? And then you show up as your true, authentic self. And then it's so interesting. Everyone that I've met here on Instagram, I think, approaches it in that way too. And then when we meet in real life, it's like, oh my gosh, you're like the real deal, like the real person that I met on
Right,
Instagram.
because we were real, right? We are the same sister we had on Instagram in real life.
Yeah,
So, and if people, just be yourself, because if people don't connect to you, that's good, because we don't need any extra folks in our life that we're not aligned with anyway. That's
yeah.
fine. That's fine.
And yeah, friendships definitely fill my pleasure cup so much. So thank you so much for being a friend.
Aw.
And Dina too, who's listening in, and anyone who's listening. Yeah, I really truly appreciate the
Mm.
friendships that we've formed here. They bring me so much
Same,
pleasure, so much.
same. Grateful for you and all of our friends in new and old, new and old in this conversation. So Gabriella, thank
Thank
you. I
you.
hope you're going to take the rest of the week off, because you entertained people for the last 5 days, and then you did your 50th podcast recording and here with me. So I hope you just take a chill for the rest of the week.
Yeah, no, it's rodeo time here, so we're gonna go to Houston and do some rodeoing.
Oh, super fun. Okay, I'm sure you're going to post a picture with your cowboy hat on. I can't wait to see that.
All right, Julie, thank you so much
Thank
for
you
having me
for
on.
being
It's been
here.
such
Thank
a
you,
pleasure.
everyone. Bye, Dina and
Bye.
everyone. Be well. See you next time on the MenoLounge. Take care.
Bye.